G'day everyone and welcome to episode 18 of the Aussie Tech Security. I'm Glenn. Welcome to yet another episode, which is counting up, nearly at 20. Woohoo! Alright, we're brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au for all your shared hosting services. Install WordPress or even e-commerce at under 5 clicks you'd have that installed. Bit longer to pimp it out, but at least the framework will be there. And also RNI also rniconsulting.com.au. And from RNI Consulting is Roger. How you doing, Roger?
Good, Glenn. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. What are you laughing about? My 3-click install?
Yeah, pimping out the website. I like that.
Oh, right. Okay. You got to pimp them.
Yeah, that's right. Make them shiny and sparkly.
Yeah, that's right. You can't have a dull website. Just as a side note, I hear just from doing the Aussie Tech Ed show this week that there's people offering free SSLs for your shared host websites. Have you heard about?
Is there?
Yeah, apparently Warlock, who's one of the hosts, I forget, I'd have to listen to the episode what he said, where it was, but in his hosting provider, he just has a little box, install free SSL, and click, there you go, your HTTPS. Wow. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, so I don't know, is there any differences? Well, why is there a difference between a free one and a paid one?
Depends on what the encryption component is that they're delivering.
Right.
And it also depends on if it's set to your domain or to the domain of the hosting company itself.
Oh, I see.
If it's set to the hosting company, I can understand that, single click. Right. But the security behind SSL is pretty tight, so they have to, if you want it for your domain itself, so rniconsulting.com.au, I would have to spend money to get that done.
Right. Yes. I think sometimes as long as people see the little S, then you're right.
Well, It's also a big thing with Google now. Google's pushing everybody that if you want to get searched, increase your search ranking on Google, then SSL does a fairly substantial bump in your SEO as well.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. Now, just something I forgot to mention to you before the show is because we're using this new platform called Zoom, you'll see back what the video is producing. So that's why you're seeing yourself.
I noticed that. I keep seeing myself pop up and go, now what do I do?
Right. So you'll also see so the reason why I did it this way is so when I show, say, like a web page or something, like you can see it as well.
I can see that, yes. Yeah, that's clever. I'm impressed.
All right. Good. Now, the topic of conversation this episode is actually sent in from a listener, Shane. Or those of you who listen to Aussie Tech Heads, he was on the show for a fair little while. But yeah, Shane from Western Australia, he says, how do people get into IT? How do you take that step? And it is a very good question because, I also, you sit down and wonder. And I remember, even 5-10 years ago, I thinking, how do I get into this? Do I do a uni course? But then, that's 4 years. And at the end of the course, you start at the bottom of the tree and you work up. And I was in, midlife. I don't want to really go to the bottom of the tree. I don't know. What do you do? So we're going to ask Roger because he's already there. He's been there, done that. And we'll see how he got into it because I'm sure he wasn't into it when he was 10 years old.
No, not quite 10 years old, no.
No, so where did you want to start? How did you get into it?
I'll give you a thumbnail of how I got into it. I was in Defence Force, I was in the Navy, and one of my officers walked into us when I was at supply school and said, this is a server, these are 10 workstations, make them work.
Right.
So that was a learning curve. And from that, I've never looked back. That took us, it was a Novell server, so it was something really totally different.
Yeah.
And they were Windows for work groups, so 3.11 workstations.
Mm-hmm.
It took us 9 tries to actually install the server.
Right.
Before we actually documented everything down and got it all right, which was an interesting thing.
Yep.
We were using Novell, so we were using token ring network, so you break the ring, everything stops.
But that was my first network. I did one of those.
So from there, I never looked back. When I got out of the Defence Force, I didn't have a job, and I went and worked for a not-for-profit organisation just as a free IT person. That got me into a number of jobs. I did three years in Malaysia putting point-of-sale systems into SO and BP service stations. So it was really a case of learning on the foot. There is a significant difference between people who are learning by taking things apart, putting them back together, getting it wrong, working out why it's wrong and getting it right again, to the people who are actually going through university and being told that's how they do it, but have no practical experience. And that's one of the reasons why, yes, you might do 4 years on an IT course, then you're starting at the bottom because you have no practical experience. And that practical experience, especially in the IT world, is really, really important.
Yes, yeah, because I know, like, you know, even because that's how I learned pretty much is like, initially I did some sort of, you know, correspondence diploma in PC repair, you know, years and years and years ago, probably totally irrelevant now with the computers out now, but the basics are still the same. And and I think as you go through your career, say in fixing computers, like, you know, someone out of uni, you might say, oh, this computer keeps shutting down, why? And then they'll think about through all their training courses. But you might be sitting there going, well, you know, maybe it's getting too hot and the glue under the CPU's gone, which maybe, you know, you can probably get to that conclusion quicker than maybe the uni student who hasn't had the practical experience.
Yeah, well, this is true. And the other thing is, I've got a mate who swears by a saying, and that is that you hack to learn.
Yes.
And if you want to learn something, you have to take things apart. You have to put them back together. You've got to work out that if you take something out of a system, what it does, why the impact is, why that happens all the time. And once you've done that, you then realise that if you see something that's reflected in, so yes, your RAM reduces from 8 to 4 and everything starts slowing down, you can actually diagnose that problem because you've seen it happen because you took 4 gig of RAM out of a workstation and now it doesn't work as well as it should. And you notice these things because it's sort of intuitive more than anything else. Whereas if you're learning it at a university, and don't get me wrong, university has its place, it really does. It is some of the learning that you get from the university does make some of the things that we do a lot more robust, because you get to the situation of being able to write code properly, for instance, or raise websites properly. And if you're in graphic design and you go down that component of it, you need to know not only how to bring up a website, but also how to make it secure, how to make sure that the scripts are going to work, and all that sort of stuff is part of that learning. But then again, you still have to get it done practically. And practically in the real world is very important.
And obviously, in the unis, they've got their scenarios set up as well, like practical scenarios. But so I come knocking on your door tomorrow, I say, hey, Rog, how you going? How can I work for you? How can I start? And you'll say to me, what's your experience, I suppose? What do you say to me?
Well, that's one of when I was working for another company, we had a 1-page questionnaire that we used to, and it wasn't designed to find out if you knew stuff. It was designed to find out if you didn't know something, where you would go to find it, how to do it. So in other words, to me, a tech there's 2 things that a tech needs. One is the capability of being able to talk to a client and say, you've got a problem, this is what the problem is, and this is how we're going to fix it. So you've got to be presentable, you've got to have the right attitude. That's one of the reasons why, if you've got that sort of attitude, it's easier to teach you how to be a tech than as if you've got the tech and we need to teach you how to be a sociable person, because they don't normally mix.
And I'd say that would be the hardest part. I think if you're not a sociable person, if you like, you know, sitting inside air-conditioned rooms with no sunlight, getting white and pasty all day.
And having Coke rolled under the door. That's
that's the drink, I guess.
That's the true definition of what people think of a person who is a programmer. We've come across a lot of programmers who actually write code because they want to be able to do something. The new Raspberry Pi stuff that's coming out nowadays teaches people how to actually write code to do a specific job. And that's also a huge learning curve for most people, because if I've got a for instance, if I want to go into robotics and I want to create a robot arm and I need to do the programming behind that, then I'm going to write the code on a Raspberry Pi. I'm then going to put it into the system to find out if it's going to do the right things, and suddenly find out that the arm goes left instead of right. Well, somewhere in the code is wrong, and I have to now find out what it is. Yeah. That is a really big initiator of learning properly, because you now realize that the line of code you put in there that turned it left instead of right is now something that's important, and you've learned that because it'll stick in your mind. I don't want to do that again.
I remember, like, when I was a kid, growing up, I suppose after when I was 12 or 13 or whatever, that we had the Apple IIs down at the public libraries and all this sort of stuff. And there used to be books come out with the code that was written in them, like for certain games, maybe a couple of pages of code, and you had to type it in yourself.
Yep.
And because you're typing it in yourself, you would make typos, and then the thing wouldn't run, and then you'd have to go through and look for what your mistakes were. And like, although I didn't pursue a career in coding, and because AppleSoft or Basic or whatever it was called, Basic is now not really used anymore, but I got pretty good at it. It was good.
Yeah.
But so say I wanted to come and work for you, or say I wanted to start my own security business or whatever. What sort of, other than the personality skills, where would you start to learn all this sort of stuff? Like, where would you start to learn penetration attacks, how to master them? Whatever else you do.
Yeah. Again, going back to, you experiment. You set up your own system on a virtualized system on your PC. So if you've got something like is it Sunbox, which is a free virtualization software system. You can put that on a PC. You can then install something like Kali, which you could download straight off the internet as an ISO. So you've got that. You can then download other things like DVWA, which is a targeting system. So you can actually use your Kali to pick on the DVWA machine, and that way you can actually see how things work. Whether you want to do, if I wanted to do a social engineering attack on someone, what do I need to do? What code do I need to write? What systems do I have to steal from somewhere or download from somewhere? From there, I can then work out how I'm going to get out there and do the right things and everything else. It's all a learning curve. It really is. That learning curve is because I want to do something. It's no use getting into IT because supposedly there's a lot of money, and most of the people I know are probably on $100,000 to $150,000, but they do know their shit, and that's the big difference.
Yes,
it's no use getting into it because you can see the dollars at the end.
Yeah,
when the skill required to get to that is something you've got to learn to yourself. And the people I work with and the people who are at the at ADFA, and even the workers that I've got at R&I Consulting, they are people who Exchange doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? What have I done to it? How can I fix the problem?
Yeah.
If I haven't got that sort of attitude, then the attitude that is not going to do any good for me at all. And yes, I might be commanding all of that money, but whether someone's going to pay for it because I haven't got the really basics that need to be understood.
Yes, yeah. So I think VirtualBox is another one. Another one. I think I've used that before because I've got a computer here with the VMware on it, and that seems a bit too much overkill for me. I think if I was to do another one, I'd do the VirtualBox.
I was talking to a colleague recently about I need to upgrade my laptop because at the moment it's 8 gig of RAM, but it doesn't. I can only run 2 virtual environments at the same time, which means it's very hard for me to actually do a demonstration because in most demonstrations I need 3 virtual environments. So I've got to look at seeing if I can find a laptop that's got 16 or 32 gig of RAM.
Right. Yes.
And because RAM is really important when it comes to running virtualized systems, as well as having the right processor as well. So I couldn't really run it on an i5, but it'd have to be an i7 and all this sort of stuff. Yeah,
you're right. I think my VM machine's got about 8 gig in it, and I run 2. instances, but yeah, the third and the fourth, everything starts to get a bit slow.
Yeah.
So okay, so can you be too old to get into this sort of stuff?
No, not really. I think as long as you have a willingness to learn, and you have you also got to remember that IT now is a really huge environment, going from programming to security to just basic networking, for instance. Each one of those areas is now becoming a specialized area, and each one of those specialized areas, for instance, networking, you can go down the routing path, you can go down to the storage path. All of these components are a huge area just in itself. So there's no way that you're going to learn it all, and this is one of the things that we have a problem with across the board. IT people think they know it all, and especially when it comes to security, the underlying reasoning doesn't make any sense, because there are always going to be people who know a bit more about the problem than you do. And the idea is to actually associate yourself with them, so you can actually sit there and go, I've got this problem, bounce this question off someone, and I'll get an answer back sometime in the next 2 or 3 hours that is actually going to help me and propel me forward down the path that I want to take to get to a resolution of that problem.
Yeah, because I know, like, I've looked through, say, like, the seek.com.au or whatever, and looking for, say, the IT jobs, looking for what's required and all this sort of stuff. And I tell you, most of the requirements scare me off because you go, oh, geez, I don't know if I could do that or whatever.
One of the biggest things that we see when people are asking for jobs is we want an IT person who has a master's degree. Why? In a lot of cases, education from literally being in the trenches is a damn sight more important than someone who's learnt it out of a book. And although, as I said before, the book learning has its place, if you haven't got that experience and you haven't got your hands dirty, then you're already behind the 8 ball.
Well, that's what I think. Or when I was reading these things, you think, I don't know whatever it might be, SQL injections or oracles or whatever. But geez, given half the chance, I'd be able to learn it. But you just think, I don't know it, so they're obviously looking for someone with it. I think sometimes that the blurb scares a lot of people away. Yeah. Because it does to me. It would to me. But another place that I've found through just over the last week was a good place maybe to get started. You could give me your opinion on this as well, as when the Black Friday was on, or the Cyber Fridays or whatever, the discount shopping days. The Udemy had heaps of courses for like $15, discounted from $200 to $15. And there was one that came up that I subscribed to. I bought for $15, and why not? And it was like ethical hacking from scratch. Yes, and I thought, well, that looks pretty good. So I haven't started it yet, but I'll give it a burl, because it's something that I want to do. I want to get into that Kali Linux. I just got to make time. I want to get in it and see what it's all about.
You know that part where you sleep? That's where you have to find the time for it.
Yeah. Well, I find more and more that I'm sitting on the lounge while everyone else is watching TV. I got my laptop, I got my headphones in. I'm doing some monotonous sort of work. But it's monotonous while I can do it while there's a lot more going on around the place. But so I'm gonna so you think courses like this from the Udemy, I suppose each course to its own, do your due diligence, but that's a good place to get a background.
It's a very good place to start. Once again, the Udemy courses are very good, but you still need to be able to get your hands dirty. So in other words, if they're talking about Kali, you need to be running Kali. You need to be having a look what it's doing, why it's doing it. Even right down to learning how to, I suppose, update from the newest software, or to get information out of the system, and like you're showing on the screen right now. This is all hands-on stuff. You literally need 2 screens. You put the course up on one screen, and you do whatever they're demonstrating on your own machine at the same time.
Yeah, and the good thing about this is that you can also you can download these videos. The courses is just a bunch of videos, which is great because for the visual learners, and you just you can download them to your iPad. You know, you can, if you don't have two computers, you can just or two screens, just put your iPad on, follow the tutorial. But this one that I am showing, look, sorry for those on the audio, but I am showing one course on the screen now from Udemy, and it's called, the title of it is Learn Ethical Hacking from Scratch. This one by Zaid Sabi. But anyway, if you want to know more about that particular one, go to the video, have a look at it. But yeah, like it was $185. Now it's $54. It's 11.5 hours. And as we've just seen in the intro video, he goes through how to install the virtual box. You know, it goes from scratch. So, and, you know, like we're just going through the course outline here. Now you've got the overview, of course, setting up the lab, the Linux basics, the network penetration testing, which is something that when you told me about that's what you do, I thought, oh, geez, that sounds so interesting. I've got to do more of this. You actually enticed me to get more involved because I want to do more of that.
It really is a good field, and some of the I'm lucky enough to be in an area where it really is a rarefied environment, because I've got people here who make me look like an idiot because of what they know and how they know it. But they are scarily good at what they do, and that's the other thing about being around the right people as well. Yes, you can get the right courses, you can get all the right equipment, but if you're not actually bouncing some of your ideas off other people who are in the similar mind frame, then you're not going to actually get a complete learning out of what you're doing. And it's a good idea to cultivate those type of contacts as well, so that you have got the ability to go, I'm having a problem with this. I've tried this, and this, but it still doesn't work. Have you got any suggestions? And if you send that to someone, even if you send it to someone like me, there's always a chance that they're going to come back and go, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? Which then takes you on a different path as well. Have you tried using a PowerShell script that does all of these right things that you're looking for? So that takes you down a different path. The thing about ethical hacking is you really have to, and you'll probably find this out later on down the track, is scripting really does become very important. And you have to be able to understand if a script doesn't work on your system, then it's not going to work outside in the real world. So you have to know how to troubleshoot it and find out why it's not working.
Yes. Look, and you know, like, and as you said, a good place to go is you got to be able to know where to go to find your answers. A lot of cogs. There's a lot of cogs that make up a motor, and one cog can't know every other thing. So get your network going. There's another one on the YouTubes that I like. He's pretty smart. This guy that I like watching him. He's Eli the Computer Guy. I don't know if you've heard of him, Roger.
No, I've never heard of him actually.
Yeah, he's he must have been like an ex server engineer or something, you know. And he goes through a lot of topics, and he's pretty good. He's got a really relaxed sort of an attitude, and he gets on his whiteboard. He's got it at his desk, and he goes screenshots. And he goes some of the topics I'll just run through quickly. RAM as an ultra fast hard drive with data RAM disk, classic shell to get start menu in Windows 8, different things, hacking DNS. Like I started watching him because of the DNS issues I was having, and I sort of started watching him. So you subscribe to the YouTube channels. So I guess the upshot of it all is, as an employer, you not necessarily want the master's degree. You're happy to look at people with a bit of experience but probably more of a nice interactive personality.
Yeah, so someone who's capable of holding a conversation, and you'd be surprised how many people there aren't who have that capability. Someone who can actually sit there and talk to a client and go, "This is the problem, this is the solution, and I'm afraid it's going to cost you some money." And when you can do that, and then come back and go, "This is the solution. Now we're going to do the solution," that makes it even better.
Yeah. Because I remember I was on a job, and he was having issues with some network issue, which it turned out it wasn't a network issue. I didn't think it was, but anyway, we decided to get a network engineer in, to find out what was going on. And it turned out that there was nothing going on. It was a fault in the software that he was using. For some reason, it was just backing up for some reason at the, I don't know, execution point or something. But this guy, like, you had to drag stuff out of him, this engineer. You know, he'd be poking away, and we go, and say, "How's it going? What are you finding? What are you doing? What's, you know?"
But, I'm doing stuff. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that's right. He goes, "I'm doing stuff in this room that you have no idea. I might just be sitting here, but I'm doing stuff you got no idea about."
Yep.
But so okay, so maybe not necessarily when you read these Seek ads, you just throw your hat in the ring and see what happens.
Well, that's the other thing. We came across an advert recently that was looking for Internet of Things engineers. Now, Internet of Things has been around for probably 2 years, maybe 3 maximum, and they wanted someone with experience in the IoT world that had 5 years of experience.
Yes. Yeah, that's
which makes it really difficult when it's only been around. And this is the other thing with new technology coming through. Technology nowadays changes that fast that if you are looking for a specific person, Microsoft, not so much a big deal because Microsoft has sort of followed a pattern. If I do something in Windows 2000 Server, I can still do the same thing in Windows 2012 and 2016. But if you're working on an application or some of the new stuff that's coming out, wireless, for instance, Internet of Things, SCADA is another one that's a really big one. SCADA's been around for years, but there's not many people that know how to write SCADA components and how to manage them properly. Yeah. Now, the SCADA systems, as I said, have been around 30 or 40 years. So using binary and systems that turn things off and turn things on. Yeah, you may be able to find someone who's got 20 years of experience, but I guarantee you wouldn't be able to find anyone with 20 years of experience with Windows Server 2012, for instance.
No, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
And that's when you look at a job request or a job application like that, then you suddenly see that people are really demanding over their expectations because they don't actually understand the technology they're asking people to actually apply for the job.
But would it be a case from an employer's point of view that you shoot high and then settle for low?
Maybe, but that's a tad difficult to shoot high for. So yeah.
Look, the other one I wanted to bring up, I just thought of. I sort of mentioned the Seek. We've mentioned the Udemy. There's this other place on the internet called Flex Jobs. I'm not sure if you've heard of that one, Roger.
No, I haven't actually.
But this is all like fine telecommuting jobs. So if
okay,
yeah, if you are a pasty white dude or that sits in the basement, you know, with no sun, you might want a telecommuting job.
Well, it is the way the world's going at the moment. Like with most of the stuff that we do, we can remote into most of our clients either through a VPN or through RDP sessions, or into things using. We use a thing called Splashdot. Which is literally they install it, they give us a code, we access the system using that code, we can get to their desktop and we can troubleshoot problems, which is all very well and good. But it means that I can we work from home as much as possible. But what we've found is that if you do that a lot, then the client doesn't appreciate what you do.
Right.
They think that they're only there for problems and we only solve problems. Whereas one of our, I suppose, underpinning business motivations is we have one of our techs on site at least once a fortnight. Right. And that means that the CEO sees someone wandering around. He sees someone getting their little problems fixed.
Yes.
And that is one of the biggest bugbears of most IT shops that we come across is, well, we took over recently from a client who hadn't seen their IT person in 3 years.
Wow.
Yes, he was doing everything right, but there was no interaction between him and the client itself.
Yeah.
That's a really bad way to run a business.
Yeah.
Because it's still people doing business with people. And if you haven't got that capability in the background, then you need to be able to literally go in and say, "Hi, how are you? Have you got any problems?" And that invariably, especially if they don't have to pay for it, which is one of the other tenets that we put on our business, if we go in there, we're there for an hour. If you've got something that's causing a minor problem that we know is going to blow up into a big problem, for instance, I can't print to the letterhead letterhead tray and the printer, for instance.
Yeah.
If there are times when those people literally blow up. If we catch it at that 2-week level when it's just become a problem, and we fix it and we don't have to worry about it, then the client actually sees that the feedback is a lot better, and you then don't have a problem of shit, we haven't seen you in 3 years. What have you been doing?
Yes, yeah, because I know. Because I do like some website maintenance for some of the sites that I do, and I could just sit there and not interact with them. But every month that I do this maintenance, I send them a little it's only a quick little email of what I've done, and it's just basic stuff, updating the web page, updating the plugin thing, etc. But I implemented that because I thought, well, otherwise, how do they know that I'm even doing it?
That's right. And communication is really, really important, especially in in the IT world. I'm not going to say that people are stupid. What I'm getting at is that if you don't show them what you're doing, they think you're doing nothing.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
A really bad way, and especially when we're talking about a managed service provider, for instance, like us. If someone pays us $1,000 a month to look after their IT, they want to see reports. They want to see what we've been doing. They want to see people on staff,
that's right,
on site at the time, because it gives them an idea that they're actually spending money and they're getting something value for money for it.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And you just got to put yourself in their shoes, haven't you? Like if you're spending $1,000 on, I don't know, window cleaning, but you never see the window cleaner. You think, well, is he actually coming around and doing it?
Yeah. Is the windows clean?
That's right. They're clean, but maybe there's just no dirt around. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're not getting wet.
That's right. Well, I think that pretty much rounds us out for this episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Did we cover everything that you wanted to cover, Roger?
Yeah, I think we did. I think everybody gets an idea that IT is not exactly an easy subject.
No. Well, there's the music. I don't know if you can hear that, but music's decided to come on, so we better get out of here. All right. Thanks, Roger. We'll see you, everyone, next time. Okay.
Thanks, Glenn. Much appreciated.
Bye.